Hello and welcome. This is the video that past you wishes you had found 5 years ago, but present you is watching now, and future you will thank you for watching to the end, because we are going to go over exactly how to make your wildest dreams a reality. We're going to do this in 5 easy steps. Here we go. Step number 1 is dream big. Dream as big as you possibly can. This comes with a lot of challenges, and a lot of people won't allow themselves to dream as big as you possibly want. Deep, deep, deep inside, there are a lot of voices saying, you should do this, you should do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. And those voices are usually one of your parents, but that's a whole other topic for a whole other entire series of videos. But I first ran into this when I was doing college shows, and I would do my 70-minute mind reading show for college students. And afterwards, as I'm signing autographs and meeting people, I always heard, man, I can't even imagine doing what you do for a living. You mean you get to just travel around, have fun, and you get paid for it? I can't imagine that. And if you can't imagine something, your chances of making it happen are exactly 0. So, step number 1 is to allow yourself to dream as big as you want. And you might want to focus on the next 3 to 5 years. Maybe this is when you're 80 years old, looking back on your life, you want to see these certain things, but usually you want to focus at 3 to 5 years of what the ideal situation for you looks like. Give yourself the permission, the freedom to say, if I didn't have to worry about anything, this is exactly the kind of life that I would want to be living, then go for it. Just really let your mind run and think about as many different areas of your life as you possibly can. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is impossible at this stage. It's brainstorming. Just get it out onto the page. You can write this down. You can talk into your phone as a voice memo. You could write this in an encrypted drive on your computer so that nobody else will ever find it. It doesn't matter as long as you get it out of your head into the world somehow. Why do you need it out of your brain? And that's a good question. Thanks for asking. And the idea is that you have to know what you are running towards. What's your fixed point that you will be using to navigate your future? Every decision, you can ask yourself, does this get me closer or farther away from my ideal outcome? Just exactly how people used to navigate with the North Star or Polaris back in the day before maps even. You could tell where you are and where you're going in reference to that fixed point that never moves. Likewise, your ideal future should be that fixed point that gives you a reference to understanding what should I be doing now to get to my future self. Present you is going to be meeting future you if you make all the right decisions that move you in that direction. And it's also important to know what you are moving from. What do you not want in your life? Are you tired of this? Are you tired of that? Okay, make sure you put that in as well, because using those two things, what you're moving towards and what you're moving away from, keeps you moving in the right direction. Because if you only have what you don't want and you want to move away from it, you could move away from it this way, but your fixed point is over there. So just moving away from what you don't want doesn't mean that you are moving towards what you do want. And if you only move towards what you do want, you won't have quite the same drive as knowing what you absolutely will not allow in your life and what you will never go back to doing. So pairing those two together help you move smoothly in the right direction. Step number 2, plan your work, work your plan. I took an intro to coding class. It was Hoon for Urbit, which is a topic for its own series, which I should make in the near future here. But I took the coding class, and one of the examples that the instructor told me to help me understand what programming is like they were saying, imagine that you need to tell somebody how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You would tell them, go to the kitchen, get a plate, get some bread, put 2 pieces of bread down on the plate, add some peanut butter and jelly, put the halves together, and voila, you have a sandwich. But when you are writing the program, you have to break it down into even more specific steps. You might have to get as specific as go 30 feet north, turn 47 degrees east, move 10 feet that way, go to the second shelf above you, grab a plate, put it on the counter, face up, right? So you'd have to break it down into very, very detailed steps in order for the program to run properly. The same thing has to go for your idea of the future. Now that you know where you are going and what you are moving away from, you've got that gap between those two. And this is where your planning comes into play. You can start with where you are and then move forward and say, well, the next thing that I need to do is this. And from there, I'll do that. And then that will lead me to here. And I will wind up where I want to be. Or you can go the opposite way. You can say, this is where I want to end up. And then what would I need to know to be able to do that? Well, I'd need to do this. So then working backwards to today, I know what I need to be doing. So this is kind of planning your work and then working the plan backwards or forwards. You know exactly what you need to be doing on a day-to-day basis to get you going in the right direction. It's easy to get too focused on the details, and it's also easy to gloss over too much information. You got to strike the right balance. And to me, the right balance is about 5 steps that you know you need to take to get you from here to there. If you want to make a life mastery business, these are the 5 steps that you'll be following. The first one is make stuff online, make videos, write articles, tweet a lot, share as much of your mind as you possibly can with the world. And then that way there will be more surface area for somebody to find your ideas and then figure out what is inside your mind, because nobody but me is a mind reader. So you need to make it as easy as possible for them to understand you and to know why they should pay attention to you. And that is step number 2. Get more attention from the right people and don't get attention from the wrong people. You want to build a relationship with people who are engaged with you, not just followers. So you don't want just the follower number to go up, because there are people with hundreds of thousands of followers, but 0 engagement. Nobody is talking with them. They're constantly throwing things out and nobody's talking back. So that's not what you want. You want a tight-knit community of really cool people who love what you're doing and are all about it, and they let you know it. Step number 3 is start making money. Since you are creating valuable stuff for people who are highly engaged, you start making side hustle money, and eventually you start making real hustle money, and you can make an entire second salary off engaging with your community, your audience, your tribe, whatever you want to call it. You really have dialed into what you can do that's most valuable to the people who love what you're doing. And that's when you start making money off of it. Step number 4 is you've figured out how to make a living off of this. And now it's time to learn how to scale it up. You've got the process down. Now it's time to be more efficient, more effective, and you dial in that 80-20 rule where 20% of your time is spent making stuff and 80% of your time is spent thinking and promoting and sharing the gospel of what it is that you do. This is when you go from making some money to real money through the power of the internet. Step number 5 is share your story of how you got here. And if you were doing it the smart way, you would have been sharing your story from day 1. And if you're kind of confused about that, hit me up. I would love to explain the difference between being an expert and being a learner and why both have something to share. But basically, the idea at this point is that you've been there, done that, and you are doing something that most people couldn't even imagine doing as a living. How in the world did you do it? Well, your path was unique. Your approach was unique. Your story is unique. So you can share your message of the challenges and tribulations and the detours and the setbacks that you went through, and people will find lots of value in that. That's how you become a keynote speaker, a consultant, an entrepreneur, just sharing the message, and that helps you get an even larger audience. So you can see how all of this comes together as you are moving towards your goal. It sounds super easy. So if it was so easy, Jonathan, why isn't everybody doing this? And I've got one word, GPS. Say you're blindfolded and we put you in a car, drive you around for hours, put you on a plane, you fly for 15 hours, you land, you walk for a couple hours, and then they take the blindfold off and you see that you're in the middle of the jungle. How in the world do you get home? Well, you could walk around and try to figure it out, but that might take your entire life, however long you have for that, to figure out which direction to go. We could give you a map, a topology map, and then you'd have an easier time figuring out where you are. Maybe that's the right mountain compared to the map, and maybe that's the correct mountain, and then we can kind of triangulate where I think I am, and depending on that, then I think we go this direction. Or we give you a GPS and it says, turn 30 degrees to your left, head that way, in 10 minutes, turn this way, and it's down to the foot specific. Well, a lot of times folks don't have GPS for their life. They don't have the destination. They don't know where they are. They don't know how to build the route between those 2 points. So it's that certainty of knowing that you are on the right path that helps you reach the destination. Your imagination and willpower are your GPS that will help you stay on track as you're moving towards meeting your future you. Now, a lot of people say, well, sure, Jonathan, if you as the mentor told me exactly the path, then I would be certain and then I would do all the work that I need to do. But like most things in life that are wise, it's exactly backwards. Your certainty comes first and then the path becomes clear. It's not that the path is clear and then you're certain you will reach your destination. So you have to imagine and then bring all of yourself to bear on making certain that this is the direction that I want to go. And then the path opens up after you are certain about what it is that you want. Okay, so that was step 2 with 5 steps inside of it. I kind of snuck an extra 5 steps into this video. But the third big step is to get back on track. Now, as you are moving towards future you, as present you is moving through time and space to meet future you, you are going to deal with a couple challenges. And one is a detour and the other will be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that kind of a thing. And you will need discernment to figure out which one of those 2 it is, because a detour gives you more experience and context and appreciation for reaching your destination, whereas a setback is moving you in the complete opposite direction of the direction you do want to go. So this setback angle is usually what people find when they gave up on their dreams that they still are holding on to, and then become kind of bitter and resentful that could have been me. And then they kind of feel defeated. That's the setback and giving up on that dream. A detour is a fun side quest that you may think isn't connected to the main quest, but it gives you extra awesome armor that will help defeat the end boss more easily. And sometimes a detour winds up being the new destination. See, me, I've had the same goal, the same dream since I was about 5 or 6 years old. I want to be a professional mentalist. I didn't know the word mentalist at the time, but that was it. And along the way, I've done that. I've been able to be a paid professional entertainer since I was 13 years old. My first paid gig was then. And along the way, I've been able to get a day job and to paint and do all these other things that some people would say, oh, you're giving up on your dream because a real performer doesn't have a day job. Whereas having a day job actually set me up to be a better performer and to do better shows, because then I could afford to say no to the awful shows that kept me broke and then be more discerning about what I said yes to. So then I start making more money as a performer because of the stability I had at the day job. So what those detours provide is that extra context and appreciation for moving in the right direction. Now, some of the setbacks I've had, some of the biggest ones were the wrong relationship, where great person, just wrong situation. It would be great person, wrong fit, wrong time. Any wrong way to do it, I've done it that way. And some of those relationships were with not great people, and they would drain all of my life force and motivation, and I was just miserable and in a really bad situation. And that is not honoring my best future self. So recognize when you are in a setback and make the changes, or you're on a detour and appreciate the view as you move forward. Another detail is that this is kind of weird that we're talking about your best future self, and then even within that framework, thinking of your future self, because your most ambitious goal today, the idea that present you has about future you is wildly ambitious. However, you might find when you meet future you that dream is better served by going after an even bigger dream. So using my life as an example, again, I wanted to be a performer my entire life, and I was living the dream. I was touring the world, getting to do that. And it wasn't until I asked myself, how could I help more people more effectively? Then I started getting even cooler jobs as a consultant, helping out with companies and training sales teams and working on really, really cool projects. And that's when I realized that it was the freedom and control of my time that I wanted more than the love and adulation that comes with being a rock star performer. So I can still be in front of a group, I can still do my mind reading demonstrations, and also explain to people the psychology behind how it all works so that they can put it into use in their own life and business to make more money and help their own families and their employees and all their clients. So you can see how expanding the scope of the dream and putting my most ambitious goal of being a full-time performer in service of larger goals, it makes the performing even better. And that's kind of the fractal nature of this process. As you meet future you becomes present you, your future you planning can shift and change over time. And that's a good thing. And the last thing I want to say in this section is the Shakespeare quote, "To thine own self be true." That will help you figure out if you're on a detour or you're in the middle of a setback, because there's a quiet voice inside that will tell you that you should not be doing this thing. And it's always there. You might have learned to ignore it, but it is very, very quiet, and it will tell you when you make the decision that you're doing the wrong thing. So learn to dial into that voice again, and that'll help you figure out which path you are currently on. Step number 4, the idea here is to decide to meet your future you. And I don't just mean that as I'm going to decide today to be a better person or to work on this goal or that goal. I mean, every single day, all day long, every decision you make is getting you either closer or farther away from future you. And that's why it's really important to have that fixed point, because it helps you move and adjust through time, but keep you on the right path, moving in the right direction. So every day, remember that you are deciding either to pursue or move away from your goal with every decision that you make. So it's not that this is a one-time thing and then you never have to think about it ever again. This is the only thing you're going to be thinking about all day, every day of your life, because it is your life. So it's not just a single decision. It is every decision every day for the rest of your life that you will be thinking about. And step 5 is do the impossible. My favorite phrase to hate is it doesn't work like magic, because I know what people are saying, that it doesn't just happen, that it's not a wave of the wand and voila, things change. But I'm here to tell you that success works exactly like magic. You might have to work for years to perfect the skills you need to accomplish the goal that you have. And when you finally learn to pull it off, others who haven't spent the same time developing the same skills to be able to do the same thing will see it from the outside and then say things like, "Oh, you have such a gift. Oh, when did you know you were blessed this way?" When it's been hard work for a decade to get to where you are. So, yeah, it really does work like magic, because magic is one of the most difficult things on the planet to do. And it's so hard because you're making it look like you're not doing anything. And do you know how hard you have to work to make it look like you're doing nothing? Real hard. So, when you meet future you and you become that future you that present you is dreaming about being, when you become that future you as present you in the future, you will appreciate how much time, effort, and energy and setbacks and challenges that it has gone through. And you'll appreciate your own personal magic more than people looking at it from the outside saying, "Oh, well, it's easy for you because you're old or you're young or you're rich or you're..." Whatever that is, that's their limit. That's their comfort zone talking. And those are their limits and boundaries that they think you should be living inside of. And hey, why aren't you living in my comfort zone? So don't get too upset. Have some compassion for people that are locked in their box of limited imagination. You've done the hard work of setting yourself free from that, and not everybody is ready to wake up from the matrix. So at that point, you'll realize that, you know what? Wait a minute. I am living that dream that I've been working so hard to accomplish, and give yourself the space to really appreciate it and enjoy it before you get the, well, now what syndrome. So it's okay to enjoy being present you when present you is present in the moment. So that's it. Just do the impossible. Simple, right? I want to invite you, if you've been listening to this and you get that weird butterfly in your stomachs and your fingertips are tingling because, you know what, for the first time in years, I see myself back on that path that I know I should have been walking on this whole time, please get in touch. Send me an email. I have an entire system that walks people through how to plan meeting future you. So I take applications on a regular basis. That's why I've put this video out. So this is my open call to get in touch. We'll get some time on the books to chat. I like to talk to everybody before we commit to working together. It's kind of like going on a couple dates before agreeing to marry each other. So get in touch, reach out. I would genuinely love to figure out if we can help each other. So do that. Head to icanreadminds.com, shoot me an email through there, or sign up for my email list where I'm sharing secrets, ideas, tips, tricks, interesting media that I find, books, cartoons, whatever catches my curiosity. I like sharing it with the cool kids in my secret email society. So join if you dare. All of this is what I call a life mastery business, which is how do you get paid for being you? This is all part of that system. So if you have any questions, hit me up as well. Let me know down in the comments what it is that you would like to do when you meet future you. I would love to know what you are working on. And if you enjoyed this video, I highly suggest that you check out this video or subscribe to the channel so that way you don't miss out on future videos about weird psychology and meeting your future self. That's it for now. Thank you so much for your attention. And remember, as always, if you can change your mind, you can change your life.